Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wrestling with the Paranormal. And I'm here to smash the truth in your face until you realize that it was there all along.
Boom! I'm Craig the Gray. Welcome to Wrestling with the Paranormal.
And
with
I
me
am
as always.
the right one.
And today we're going to wrestle with the Vanishing Hitchhiker. Where do they go? What happens? Why do people pick up hitchhikers? We're going to wrestle with all these things, okay? Any announcements up top? You got anything else going on? How was your effing podcast show?
Well, we did a prediction show on Friday because of the pay-per-view. And I'm not going to give any spoilers, but we're betting $50 on that. And there was a strange outcome to that. So we'll have to talk about it in the next podcast.
Big money, $50. You could buy 2 t-shirts with that.
And we're not talking about the elephant in the room. What about that intro?
Oh, the intro was amazing. That was amazing intro. I thought maybe you were calling me an elephant because I'm gray, and I was like, that's kind of rude.
Yeah, and you're in that new gray room.
Got the t-shirt up there. Boom. We got a new logo up here. Boom.
Yeah.
Doubling up on the logo. Looking good. I love it.
So with this Vanishing Hitchhiker thing, the most popular story is what is it? What's it called?
Uniondale.
The Uniondale Hitchhiker. And so I'm going to just start it, and then I'll make the tag to you, and we can keep going.
Set it up.
All right. So it's 1968, and it's South Africa. And much like our intro screen, we got rain just pouring down. There's thunder. There's lightning, and the guy, our main hero of this story is Gilles Pretora. Was it Pretora? Is that what it is? What did you get on that?
Pretorius?
Yeah, a lot of people with weird names in this story. Gilles Pretorius, and he's a corporal in the South African Army. And so he's just engaged to be married.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a catch. In order to get this marriage going, to spend the rest of his life with the woman that he loves, he has to drive to Riverdale through this storm. And he normally wouldn't do this, but he wants their parents' approval, and so they're driving in the rain. And so I guess he turns around where his bride is in the back seat of the Volkswagen Bug, and she's sleeping. He turns around to look at her, a big smile on his face and making the googly eyes. And he turns around, and the wind and the storm pushes the Volkswagen Bug and swerves it into the forest. And so he wakes up, and he's got a big cut on his forehead, and he's a little bit confused, and he looks around, and his future wife, Maria Rose, I can't say any of these names. Can you say her name?
Maria Rowe? I think it's just Rowe.
Maria Rowe. I think there are a lot of French names, or I don't know.
Well, they're in South Africa, which maybe
one of the languages is French.
Yeah, probably a French colony at some point in history.
Yeah. Maria Rowe. So he can't find her, and so he starts calling out her name, and he's exhausted. He's hurt. He's looking all over, and he collapses on the side of the road. And later on, someone finds her body, and she's dead. I guess it flew from the vehicle, and so she was. The interesting thing about that is she was unconscious when she died because she was sleeping, which is an interesting kind of way to go, right? And so 8 years passes, and we have a fellow named Anton Lagrange, and he's coming back from a party, and he sees this girl on the side of the road, and he decides like she's looking kind of messed up, and he feels sorry for her, and he picks her up, and he starts trying to make conversation with her to no avail. She's not responding at all. He's trying really hard, but nothing's working. She's kind of keeping it to really short answers. And he turns back to look at her again, and she's gone.
Vanished.
And so he freaks out. He goes to the police station. I don't know why they always go to the police station. Like they got any answers there, right?
It's just the common response. You go to the police station, something weird happens.
So he goes to the police station, and the officer, what's his name? We got it here.
It's quite the name. It's quite the name.
You got it?
Snowy Potgiter.
Like all these names are nuts. So Snowy Potgiter.
Favorite name for a police officer ever. Officer Snowy Potgiter.
Let's take a pause here. The kid was born, and they're like, you know what we're gonna call him? I don't know why I'm making him Irish. You know what we're gonna call him? We're gonna call him Snowy. Because it's snowing outside.
And we're proud Potgiters, and it's what we do.
You know what? I think we should move to South Africa from Ireland.
I'm sick of the snow. It's too snowy.
Yeah, let's move to South Africa, and we'll start up some sort of ghost hitchhiker scam. Anyways, so Snowy Potgeist,
Potgiter.
he decides that he's going to follow Anton, and so they're driving with Snowy right behind him, and all of a sudden the door of Anton's back seat opens up.
So the police officer, Snowy's following in the police car.
Yeah.
But Anton's driving his car, so the two cars are just driving down the highway.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
So his door opens up, and Anton freaks out. He pulls over to the side, and he comes out and he tells the officer, she's in the car right now. And so the officer's having doubts. He's like, okay, what I want you to do, I want you to turn your light on inside your car so I can see that you're not messing around. And so he's following him even longer, and the door opens up again, and I guess she disappears. And so he pulls over again, and Snowy's getting pissed off. He thinks this is all a big scam. He thinks that, they're playing a joke, and he's going to arrest the kid. And all of a sudden, they both hear a woman scream in the forest. And I guess they both freak out. They get both back in their cars, and they go back to town. And this is where I'm going to make the tag to you.
Boom.
Tag. Make the tag.
Couple more details about the Maria Vanishing Hitchhiker. So, what was the young guy's name again?
Anton?
Anton. Anton, at the police station, Anton describes Maria, and Pat McDonald, he was probably Irish. He overheard his description, and Pat McDonald was actually the police officer who found Maria's body 8 years earlier and he said that that description exactly matches what she was wearing and what she looked like when she was in the accident. So now they've got an ID on this ghost where, and he wouldn't have known that. Anton didn't know her, and he wasn't there 8 years ago,
Right.
so he wouldn't have known what she looked like. So there's kind of a connection there. That's pretty strange.
Yeah.
Now there's multiple sightings of the Phantom Hitchhiker after that. Okay, this goes on for years. It actually goes on all the way till 1984.
Are you gonna tell the motorbike stories here?
No. This is Maria. This is
Yeah. Maria's part of the motorbike stories.
Right. I guess I could leave this detail out till later. It's a bit of a whammy.
Yeah, we'll save that, but I think the motorcycle story is important.
Okay, yeah, the motorcycle. So oh man, here we got another name here. Van Jarsveld. So he's also in the same area.
It's Doey Van Jarsveld.
Doey?
Yes.
We got a Doey and a Snowy in the same city. Very nice. Doey Van Jarsveld. People are going to think we're making this up. We're not making this up. This is true.
He's a real name from South Africa.
This is a real story from South Africa. Yeah, so it doesn't say the year. I don't remember if it said the year, but he's riding on a motorcycle. And, okay, so he's riding on a motorcycle. He sees a hitchhiker. He picks the girl up on the motorcycle. She's riding with him. But then when he turns around to look at her again, she's actually disappeared. And he had given her a helmet to wear. The helmet is back attached to his motorcycle while he's driving.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
I really like a polite ghost that puts the helmets back when they're not just walking off with your helmet. They're like, I'm
while the motorcycle
back.
But while the motorcycle's speeding down the highway.
Yeah, that's very polite, right?
Interesting skill. Another motorcyclist.
This is the one that gets me.
So they Andre Kurtzy, I guess Andre Kurtzy.
We call him Kurtzy.
Kurtzy.
Yeah, he's a couple of guys. Kurtzy.
So he sees the girl on the side of the road, but he's a little bit rude. Maybe he doesn't like picking up hitchhikers. Maybe he's heard stories of the Phantom Hitchhiker. Who knows? But he doesn't pick her up. He just drives right by, ignores her completely. Actually, he speeds up. That's really rude. He speeds up, right? So he's speeding along, but as he's speeding along on his motorcycle, all of a sudden he feels something on his stomach, and he looks down and he sees hands like
that would freak me out,
holding on to him, and then he can feel like a girl on the back of his motorcycle, and so he actually tries to shake her off, like with some motorcycle maneuvering. This guy's like a real jerk here. She hits him.
He's a real jerk. Come on.
So he feels a blow to the back of his head. So now he's really like freaked out. I guess at that point she disappears because he goes to the police station like they always do, right?
That's what you do when you're on an island.
And same thing again. He tells them the story. They tell him that there's lots of stories like this. His description matches Maria. Now, so the other stories are not about Maria anymore, right? Yeah. So now
you can skip to 84.
Now I can finish the story. So
yes.
All of these sightings keep going until 1984. And all of a sudden, these stories stop and nobody sees Maria, the Phantom Hitchhiker, anymore in South Africa. And that's strange. But there's an interesting detail here. 1984. In 1984, so Gilles, what's his name again? Gilles Pretorius. If you remember, he was the original person. He was going to get married to her. She died in a car accident. He survived though, and 1984, he's actually married to another woman, but he dies in a car crash. So he dies in a car crash, and then people stop seeing her ghost.
So after this, she's kind of got peace, and she kind of, I guess they meet up in the afterlife, and hey, let's get married, and I guess they're married up in heaven.
But what about? But now he has a widow because he was married to this other girl. So she doesn't have peace.
Well, maybe he's going to Mormon heaven where
There's
he's
just
got
no way
two.
no way to make everybody happy. There's no way to make everybody happy, but that's okay. So that's the epic tale of the Phantom Hitchhiker of South Africa. What do you think of that story?
That is probably the most epic Vanishing Hitchhiker story I've ever heard.
Maybe we should have built to that one because the other ones aren't as epic. But that's okay. This is the way we did it. We started off with the big story. That's okay.
I'll go into it. Just another quick little story here. We have here in Vancouver. It's called the UBC Hitchhiker.
A local.
So it is. It's on University Boulevard in the middle of the night. The legend says, so right on the way to Point Grey. If you know Vancouver, if you don't, then just use your imagination. It's just like these other places we don't know. It's right. I don't know where Riverdale is. So there's a distressed woman on the side of the road, and a male comes along and picks her up, and the woman passes him a note, and then she disappears.
What's on the note?
You think that would come out in this story, but
Amazing.
And I have a personal story in my family that is related to this too, that I told on a past episode, but we can rehash that.
Do you want to tell it now or you want to wait?
You know what? Now is better than any time, right? So this is happening probably around 1980 something in your hometown of Winnipeg.
And you were 40 at that time?
Whoa! I'm a little boy here, man.
Just kidding. Yes, Winnipeg.
If I did. Okay, so my aunt had moved to Winnipeg, and so I guess they pulled over and picked up a hitchhiker, and so he was on the back of their car, and my aunt and my uncle had just became born again Christians, and this guy started talking about Jesus with them. And they're going back and forth talking about Jesus, and all of a sudden there's a silence, and he's not saying anything anymore. And so they look back in the back seat, and he's not there.
Whoa.
And so this kind of led them to stop at the next gas station, because their minds are kind of going all over the place. And they found out that somehow all the lug nuts came off their tire.
Oh, you did tell the story before.
Came off their wheel.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that guy was an angel.
Right.
And had he not been there to make them go, whoa, crazy, they wouldn't have pulled over and saw their wheel. And I guess maybe it was, I don't know if it was complete, all the lug nuts are gone, or there was just like one left. I don't know. But yeah, that's something that is pretty well told in my family.
Well, do you think that the side of the highway, because there's so many Vanishing Hitchhiker stories, and we'll give more examples, but do you think that it is in some way it's like a place where spirits or ghosts, they have an easier time manifesting for some reason?
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, with the Maria story, she's not at peace, and maybe she wants to complete her journey. You know what I mean? And that's why she's asking people for rides, because it's like she's trying to find a way. Maybe she's stuck in that zone, and she's trying to find a way.
Well, she might not even know she's dead.
Well, she was unconscious when she But,
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
yeah.
She might not know that she's passed. She may
If you think about it, because people deny, like people don't like talking about death a lot, and people deny, that they're like some people try not to, imagine that they're going to die. So imagine if you did die and you were a ghost, you'd definitely be in denial. Like that guy in that movie, The Sixth Sense. Spoiler.
Whoa.
I'm not going to say which guy. It may or may not be.
The guy.
It might be Bruce Willis's character. It might not be. It could be anybody. Maybe the kid's a ghost. Who knows? For this movie that came out 30 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about it. So something about the Vanishing Hitchhikers, ghosts or angels or whatever they are. Let's say they're ghosts. Except for my story, I guess.
Pretty clearly a ghost because she was alive and then she died there, right?
A lot of these ghostly spirits have the ability to interact with humans. They can have conversation, to pass notes and to hold things and stuff like that. Whereas in normal sort of hauntings, they don't have that ability.
Right. There's reports of Phantom Hitchhikers opening the back door and getting into the car on their own. Like the person doesn't open the door for them. They open the door.
And they don't go through the door like a normal ghost.
Well, then, I mean, if they went through the door and they tried to sit in the back seat, when you started the car and you moved away, wouldn't it just move? Because they're, you know what I mean? It would just move away from them if they're like transparent.
I don't know. I don't know.
Ghost science, figure it out.
There's no rules to ghosts and what they can do.
Okay. Do you remember Ghostbusters when Slimer ate the hot dogs and they just fell through his body?
Is this movie or the cartoon?
No, in the movie. I'm pretty sure it's the movie. Maybe it was the cartoon. Oh. Okay.
Ghostbusters. Who are you gonna call?
Okay, I got another story. You want to hear another story about?
I do want to hear another story.
Okay, so these two are kind of boring, but okay, I got this one here that I wrote down. This is from 1979. We've got two good old boys. Sorry, this is just one guy.
One good old boy.
Roy Fulton in Britain. Also, Britain is a hotspot for Vanishing Hitchhikers, if you didn't know. There's lots of reports of it. So he's near Bedfordshire, and he gives a ride to a hitchhiker. This was reported on the Discovery Channel. So it's a female hitchhiker. She opens the door, sits down, doesn't say a word, just points to the road, like just points. So he's like, I guess she just wants to go, and I'll just take her somewhere and try to spark up a conversation with her. He tries talking to her. He gets a smile from her, but that's it. She doesn't actually say anything, even though he's trying to make like conversation. And then he goes to get a cigarette while he's driving, and then he lights it, and he turns to offer her one, and she's gone. So classic Vanishing Hitchhiker story. He starts freaking out. He goes to the local pub. People at the pub reported that he was like physically shaken by the experience. And then he gets this real strong sense that for some reason the ghost is like, he's convinced it's a ghost at this point. It's going to follow him home. So he actually had one of his friends from the pub come home with him. She said that he stayed up all night. He had this sensation that the ghost was going to come to his house. So this is kind of an interesting story that he like felt like he was almost haunted by the experience. Of course, nothing happened though. The ghost didn't show up and he never saw her again. But a little bit of a different twist on the Vanishing Hitchhiker story.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one where he's afraid that she's coming back, right?
Because they seem pretty benign for the most part.
Well, he just freaked out, right? So the classic tale is pretty much like this. It goes down like this. So young man, he is driving and he sees this girl at the bus stop, and he realizes it's way too late. The buses aren't running anymore, and so he goes and picks her up and starts making conversation. Just like in lots of these, the conversation is very quiet. And in this story, he sees that she looks cold, so he passes her his jacket, and he drives her all the way home, right to her front doorstep, and she gets inside, and he drives away. The next day, he realized he gave away his jacket, and he loves that jacket. And so he remembered where she was, the house she was at. So he knocks on the door, and a little old lady answers the door. And she's a little bit rattled by who this stranger. He's like, well, I drove your daughter home last night. I can see her picture on the mantle there. And yeah, she was cold, so I gave her my jacket. I was wondering if I could have my jacket back. And she's like, oh my, oh dear, oh my daughter died 30 years ago in a car accident. And he's like, dun, dun, dun. And somehow, for some reason, I guess he learns that her grave is right over yonder, 2 blocks down. And so he goes and takes a look at her grave. And what is on her grave site? Take a
The
guess.
jacket.
The jacket is
The jacket.
the jacket is on her gravestone. And it was nice and folded too.
Okay, 2 things. I thought it was going to turn out that the old lady was the young girl. And I was like, is this actually a time slip story? Because that would be crazy. And then the second thing that surprised me about that story is that you didn't make the old lady Irish. I would have thought that.
Ah, my daughter, she died 30 years ago. But I can't do the old and.
And it sounded like a man when you were just sitting there. So you can't, it doesn't seem like you can
It's
do
hard.
it.
Like, how am I supposed to do the old lady and Irish bit? Let me try again. No, I can't.
Oh, my daughter. Mrs. Doubtfire. Just think of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, just give Mrs.
Right?
Doubtfire.
Yeah, right? That is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Let's hear your Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's fine.
So
let's
again, clearly a ghost.
Yeah.
Because she's.
But this is not so much a ghost story, this particular one, as a ghost legend.
It's like an urban legend.
Yes, this is more of an urban legend. Well, they all are.
But I feel like there's real instances, like the South African one. There's real instances of Vanishing Hitchhiker stories, but then they grow into urban legends over time, right? Because I don't think that it's like somebody just created the idea of Vanishing Hitchhikers and started telling the stories. I think that real stories happen first, and then people through the bar, and you get drunk and you tell a story, and then
and you elaborate.
Someone else tells the story, and then it becomes an urban.
And the guy's like, you know what? And I even gave her my jacket. And the next day, I went around to get it back. Hold on, I'm thirsty. I went to get it back. And the nice old lady's going down the graveyard and she already folded up.
And that old lady was Mrs. Doubtfire.
How did you like my drunk guy impression?
Drunk guy's easy. That's probably the most easy impression I think anyone can do. Yeah. Okay, I got another one. 2 good old boys. I like a story.
Two good old boys this time.
They're out on the road. 2015. Here's a new story for you. 2015.
Oh, we're in the new millennia.
It's Britain. It's British because lots of British Vanishing Hitchhikers. I found a lot of stuff.
Now, I challenge you to say this whole thing with a British accent.
just can't get an Irish accent out of my head. I'm like, top of the morning to you.
We're stuck in Irish mode.
I just can't. What do British people sound like? Aren't they just Irish? Like,
Oh, you're gonna
I'm
piss a lot
James
of Brits off.
Bond. My name's Bond. James Bond.
There you go.
Yeah. No, that's not British. That's Irish.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
James Bond.
Oh, fancy yourself a cup of tea.
Ah, I'd like a martini. Shaken, not stirred.
Now are you doing Scottish?
Is that Scottish? I don't know. Put some Lucky Charms in my martini.
Oh, look at that. It's got a rabbit's foot in there.
I'm Sean Connery. I played James Bond.
I can do a really good Sean Connery impression.
Let's hear it.
Did you ever see the movie? What was the one with Finding Forrester?
Okay, the basketball one, right? Isn't it a kid who plays basketball?
Yeah, but it's about poetry or whatever, right? It's not exactly a shoop question, is it? It's not exactly a shoop question.
What time did Sean Connery show up to Wimbledon?
I don't know.
10-ish?
That's good. Anyways, back to your
two good old boys. Rod Davies.
One of them is Sean Connery.
Chris Felter. So they're driving around near Ballsy, and they see on the side of the road this kind of ghostly figure, and it looks like it's the person. The man looks like he's wearing an old RAF uniform, so that's the Royal Air Force, and it looks like he's got a helmet under his arm, and he's walking down the highway, and he turns to them, and they've heard a lot of Phantom Hitchhiker stories, and they didn't like the way the guy looked. Like they even said, like,
I don't like the way you're looking at us.
Just didn't look right. So they kept driving past him. But then one of them, I think it's Chris, thought, hey, we should try to get it on footage. This is 2015. They both have phones. So like, yeah, let's turn around. And so turn around and go back. And then they loop around and see him again. And they actually do get footage of it. You can watch it on YouTube. Where
I was thinking about downloading that clip, but I wasn't impressed with the. It's very
low quality.
Yeah, it's like, is it worth it? And I'm like, nah. So
just
yeah,
imagine in your mind.
So
low quality, phone camera while somebody's in the car at night.
There's a little bit of a figure, but you don't know if it's an actual guy there or if it's a phantom or a whatever, right?
Yeah, but they don't pick him up. They just take footage of it, and then there's another detail to the story though, because they get curious about this. Like, is there other sightings in the area? So they look into the history of the area, and actually, during World War II, there was a test flight that crashed in that field where they were driving around near Ballsy. A plane crashed, and one of the test pilots died. So that would have been 70 years ago or whatever. When did World War II end? That's like 80 years ago. No, I don't know. But so another one that's like, oh, they find out later, like that would make sense why, if he is a ghost, why there'd be somebody, because there's no airfield there now. Why would somebody be wearing Air Force gear?
Do you know what it was? The Green Lantern ring didn't get to him in time. And he wasn't able to transition into the Green Lantern.
I guess most stories, like ghost stories, they're kind of time slip stories, because this ghost is kind of trapped in time. He's a ghost from World War II. He's still wandering around that field.
Yeah, you wonder, does he see what we see, or does he see what he used to see?
Is he trapped in of when he died, like the time period when he died?
Yeah, it must throw them though to see all these new vehicles and be like, what the heck?
Yeah. What is it like to be a ghost? If you're a ghost, send us a comment. Just send us, just write in the comments like, hey, I'm a ghost. This is what it's like.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah. So this has been going on since carriage and buggy days.
Whoa. You got an old hitchhiker vanishing hitchhiker story.
No, I don't. I was just looking it up. I don't have a story, but it's been going on since the carriage and buggy days. Uh, it goes back to pretty much, there's always some ghostly figure on the highways and the byways.
Do you think people picked up hitchhikers in the horse and buggy days?
Oh yeah.
I guess so. Okay. But if we ever just get flying cars like in Back to the Future, you can't.
We actually have this in the Bible, actually.
Flying cars?
No, the hitchhiker. So there's a vanishing hitchhiker story in the Bible.
Is it part of the Good Samaritan story?
I believe it's Peter or Paul. No, I think it's Paul on this. He's driving his little buggy or whatever they got, and there's this what are they called? I guess there's this eunuch. You know what eunuchs are, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's this eunuch, and he wants a ride with Paul, and so he starts talking about the Bible and the Scripture with him, and Paul says, "Well, can I get baptized?" And so the eunuch baptizes him, and they get back on the buggy or whatever it is, and then he disappears.
Wow.
So was it an angel? Right. Possibly. Similar to my aunt's story kind of thing.
Would you pick up a hitchhiker?
No, that's something else we could talk about is that in this legend, it's kind of like a warning and a story of community at the same time, right?
Right.
Because the legend part of this is like, be careful when you're driving. Don't go too fast. Don't drink and drive. Because that could be you. Dead there. And I think that's the warning part of it all. And the community part of it all is that the guy's picking up a woman. She's in distress. He's no threat at all. He's not trying to get anything out of it. He's just being a good guy. And it was a time when people could do that and not worry about who was picking you up. You knew that person was going to treat you good.
Yeah, there's a famous phantom hitchhiker from Switzerland near the Belgian motorway tunnel. This is near Basel. It's an elderly woman who wears white, and she warns motorists of impending doom. If you pick her up, she warns you of impending doom. So I think you're right, like a little bit like a warning. Like you'd think if someone died in a motorcycle accident or some kind of accident, right? Maybe they just keep trying to warn people who pick them up, Just how
I figured out.
Just, driving can be dangerous.
I figured out what was on a piece of paper that the girl passed the guy in our Vancouver haunting.
You looked it up?
Calgary Flames 3, Vancouver Canucks 6.
Nice. Well, that's a kind of happy ending, I think.
Yeah, right? Because the Canucks suck right now. Yeah,
you got any more hitchhiker stories? You good?
No, just talk about the warnings and the community. What else we got for that?
Maybe trying to complete that for me. There was one I read about that was it was a bride and two bridesmaids who died in a car accident in the 60s. This was in Blue Pill Hill again in England, and people see either the bride or they're in because it was like the wedding night or something. It was like a wedding party, and they're in their dresses still, and people see them on the side of the road. And sometimes they pick up the bridesmaid, or sometimes it's the bride. But one guy, Ian Sharp, he actually hit one of them because he wasn't paying attention. So he hit the ghost, and he thought that he hit a real person, and the like ghost went under his car. So he freaked
I
out.
did see this one.
But he didn't find the body. He didn't find the body at all, right? And then he goes to the police, and the police come out, and they don't. And then the police tell him, well, there's these stories of this bridesmaid and his bride, right?
Yeah, they're saying the girl made eye contact with him. They locked eyes.
Exactly. Yeah, right before the car hit her. So that could be like a warning. You know, you need to pay attention when you're driving because you could run over a real person, not just a ghost.
Yeah, like so do we kind of like, what do we think? Do we think some of these are real? Like, are some of them fake?
There's a lot of police, police getting involved and then being part of the like report of the story. But I mean, you know, people could be hysterical. There is a thing called driver fatigue. Like if you've been driving for a long time, all of them seem to happen at night. I didn't find any of them that happened during the day. I don't know about you.
But when has a ghost ever showed up at during the day, anyways? So.
Yeah, but when you get tired, you can see things. So maybe some of these are driver fatigue. Maybe you just imagine that you pick somebody up. I don't know. And then you kind of like.
I think there's something about the traveling road. There's something about it.
Like it's hypnotic.
Well, it's almost like it gives energy because it's a road traveling from one place to another. And I almost want to say, like, when you're in one bubble, like it's one city, it carries one sort of energy. And then you go to another town, if you ever notice, it has a different energy to it.
It's like and in between is like the transition.
Yeah, so maybe those highways have energy too.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that wraps it up. We are going to take a 1-week break, and we'll come back. I guess 2 weeks from now. And we'll have an awesome show ready for you. Okay. Craig here has got a bit of a vacation coming up. What?
We're going to be fresh. We're going to come back fresh.
Fresh!
Oh, yeah. All right. You want to pump anything? Your podcast, the T-shirts?
Yeah, we got buy a shirt, Effin Pro Wrestling Tees, / Evan Wrestling. Those are the website. You could get all our social media there. And I think that's it.
And remember, everyone, keep on wrestling with the